Hello everybody. In this tutorial we are going to take this object that was shot on a white background that looks a little bit gray to a silhouette white background. In a previous video I showed you how to create a cast shadow and a contact shadow, but in this video I'm going to show you how to get the background to bright silhouette white and to hold or to bring back the original shadow that was photographed at the time of photography. Okay, so as always we need to get the object on its own layer. So I'm going to start by zooming in a little bit, choosing my marquee tool and making just a basic selection around the cuff bracelet. I'm going to choose my wand tool, W. Right now my tolerance is 11. I'll try that first. I'll hold down Option and take away from my selection little by little. And this is working. And going to keep minusing away from my selection here. And this looks pretty good. Those are my children in the background. Children happen. Okay, so see down here, I'm not really concerned with it because I'm probably going to bring that area back, but I'll take it away just to start with for now. I'll zoom in a little bit more just to get a little more detailed selection. I'm still taking away here. Another method you could use if you want to kind of brush around here is called Quick Select. If you just click the letter Q, you'll see all the red parts are part of your selection, and the parts that are picturesque are not part of the selection. And you can continue. I'm going to choose my opacity of my brush at 100%. You can even go in here and I'm going to get my brush to hardness of 100%. So you can go in here little by little and just get as close to you can as the can to the subject. And once I get a pretty decent selection, I'm not going to get too crazy with it because I am going to bring some of this back anyway, but I don't want to take that. Oh yes I do. Command Z. I just need to add to it. So I'm just toggling back and forth with X, and the black is taking away from my selection and the white is adding. This looks pretty good all around here. Looks good up here. And if you're finished making your selection, this looks pretty good. I'm not going to go crazy. I know I say that all the time and then I do go crazy, but I really am not going to go crazy. Just going in here, X got into that beat a little bit. Going in here, and once I get a good selection, I'm going to hit Q again, and it's going to just change it to marching ants. This part is bothering me, so I'm just going to go back and get a bigger brush and brush that in because I don't want any of these extra dots lingering around. And Q to see how my selection's going. And one more Q. I'm going to get some of these out of here. And Q. Okay, so I have a pretty decent selection. There's my bracelet, and I'm going to choose a selection tool and my refine edge, and I'm going to zoom in to take a good look at my edge, and these settings are way too high. I'm going to set them all back to 0 and just use them one by one. And here's my edge here. The edge I'm mostly concerned with is here at the bottom, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to feather it a little bit. That's going to help me with my selection. I'm going to smooth it and I'm probably going to shift my edge just a little bit to get tighter into the bracelet. And once I've decided my selection is good, I'm going to, yes, choose jump it to a new layer, and I'm going to click OK. And there I go. I have my bracelet on its own layer, and I have the original background layer beneath it. At this point, I want to keep my layer on, and I want to choose a curves adjustment layer. I'm going to choose this, and I'm going to pick up the white eyedropper, and I'm going to click on a white area, and right away you can see it started turning everything nice and bright white. Here's my info panel. I'm going to pick that up too so I can take a look at numbers, because I can see up here it's starting to turn gray, and I don't want gray. I want white all over the place. I want these numbers that are here to be 255. See, it was 143, 233. Click here, 255. I always try to go to my corners because corners are normally a telltale sign. If I got the entire back, see, these are 246, I'm going to 255. There we go. So now I know I have pretty much everything at 255. So if this were on any white background, it would blend with it and there wouldn't be an edge all around. So I'm just kind of zipping around, and I see 255 all over the place, and I'm pleased with this. But now I don't have a shadow anymore. I just have this floating bracelet. So I'm going to go into my curve, and I'm going to choose a nice brush, a nice soft brush. I'm going to start with the first one, and I'm going to take the hardness down to 0, and 40 pixels is not a big enough brush. I'm going to make it a larger brush. Oh, I used my bracket, but it thought I was trying to write some text in here, which I am not. So I'm going to just tap out of there. There's my brush, Command Z. I'm going to use my right bracket and pick a nice large brush. And my opacity, I'm going to choose something like 35%. And I'm just going to, little by little, brush this shadow back in here. And I'm going to choose a smaller brush, and I'm going to get around the front of this bracelet, and I'm going to pick up that contact shadow, because your shadow is not just the cast shadow. There's the shadow of the item hitting the surface, called the contact shadow as well. So there you have it. One last thing I'd like to address is that sometimes when you shoot an item on a white or a gray background, it looks a little bit darker on a white background. So you might have to command click your item and choose a curves adjustment layer to adjust the exposure of the bracelet. So maybe it needs a little bit more light. Oh, it's on the bottom of that. Maybe it needs just a little bit more light and a little bit more contrast on the white background. And there you have it. A bracelet that was photographed on a grayish white background. Put it on its own layer. Add that curves by clicking on that white eyedropper and bouncing around the image, and then add a curve to adjust the exposure. And that was my husband asking for mail. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I hope it was helpful.